Anyway, hope everyone had an amazing week. I am so glad to be here. I can tell you it's been one of those rough weeks for many of my friends, for many of my family, and it's been rough and it's been a journey for many people. So I just want to take a deep breath and say thank you, Hashem. Sometimes when you're suffering yourself, it's a form of suffering, but you can a little handle it, but it's sometimes a little more difficult when you see other people suffering. And and it's not easy. But that's when we have to really take Tanya to heart, because even today's Tanya was saying how, and I'll read it, but I know it by heart because I keep it strongly in my heart, because life is about tests. And these tests, it's written in the Torah, God will test you to see what's in your heart. And you're when you really read that sentence, right up front, what does that mean? Rambam teaches us that Hashem knows what's in our heart. He doesn't have to test us. He's testing us so we could see what's in our heart. So we could see where we might be lacking a little faith. Where we could see that we yet have to conquer a little more of that fire, anxiousness, or that tendency to escape with addictions and emotional eating, or depression, because our earth element is going a little off, So the test seems so hard sometimes. But if we don't go through it, we don't know where we're standing. And then your life is over, and then you didn't really know that what's missing, what you could have improved on, where you could have sharpened your brain more, where you could have been more emotionally balanced and in harmony, and And why do I keep this as such a key ingredient? Because in Tanya, it was actually, I invite you to join my CBTT daily posts, where I really look at the Tanya perspective of how to manage your life a little better with the information given, so that you will have more self-mastery, so your mind will be sharpened, so your mind will not entrap you, and that you can go beyond your mind, tap into the deeper levels of your heart, the good part of your heart that has the faith, that has the emunah, that has the spiritual qualities to override the limitations of your eyes, and your mind's eye that's connected to your eyes in what you're seeing. So you gotta constantly dangle in front of your eyes that there's an illusion to what you're seeing. As black and white as it seems to be, clear cut, that if you had God's eyes, you would see more clearly. Of course, even the Rebbe would give an example of someone doing a surgery, and nobody, maybe they were Amish, they, first time in modern civilization, and they have no idea. And I'm not saying Amish don't know these things about surgeries, but, someone who just never on this planet and had no idea that there's such a thing as surgery, and it just looks like someone cutting up someone, and they would say, oh my gosh, it's so bad, what are they doing? But it's actually it's surgery, and it's going to save their life, please God. So when we tap into that greater mental clarity, and holding on to this faith, then it actually is a key component to cause this imagined evil challenge to be absorbed and sublimated in the concealed supreme good, where then the evil, whatever not good thing that is happening, seemingly horrific even, turn into something so good before your eyes. So it's like a secret ingredient. You want that hell out of your life? You want to maximize your chances of salvation? Yes, there's tzedakah, you give charity. Yes, there's extra tehillim. And yes, there's a lot we can do to, maximize the potential of not needing that challenge anymore to then, bring you to that state of faith. In one of the books, The Power of Return by the Rebbe Rashab, it says, like, the more we crush ourselves actually in davening, and crush not meaning a hammer over our head and like beating ourselves up, but we crush our will. Because we want to, let's say, we love going to the beach. We love, I don't know, all the fun things that, we love, and we crush our will. Well, no, we're davening. No, we're connecting to God. We're doing His will. Then we crushed ourselves. So we don't need as many crushing experiences to get us there, to be able to have that chance to show our faith. But remember, the greatest of greats, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, like as highest of levels, they were the Gadol Ador of their times, and they went through so many crushing experiences. Like, I mean, and whenever I used to like really pay attention, like, who am I to think, that God hates me or that I did something wrong, and that's why I'm getting all these crushing experiences? Because look at Abraham, look at Yaakov, him just like, tormented by his brother Esau, wars, famines, his daughter raped, his son killed, but not knowing that he was really alive. His wife dying in childbirth, his favorite wife that he loved dearly and cherished and worked so hard to attain. Like, oh my gosh, how much can one person go through? But yet, we see again and again in these stories that they were so holy. They were our forefathers. They led and paved the way, and yet look how much challenges they went through. And I see some of the greatest people having the most intense challenges, one after the other. And this was one of those weeks. So it's coming out in this class, and I'm just really praying that we understand the mechanism, both the spiritual and the biological systems, of how to hack the system. We need to learn how to hack the system, because otherwise, so easy you just like get snuffed out by all what we're hearing, seeing, experiencing, and not let it debilitate us so that we end up so emotionally distraught that we have lost our sense of grounding, lost our sense of taking the right precautions to not engage in activities and behaviors that are more crushing and more debilitating and causing us to be then part of the numbers of, could be happening to us because of that lack of groundedness in trying to cope with what we're going through. So, I don't know if you could see this, and I'll post it up, but it's a picture of a brain. It was one of my first CBTT courses that I trained. My amazing volunteers of my nonprofit organization called SANE, and my dear neurologist, dear friend, Dr. Lerman, who was also part of my team and volunteering, and she came out all the way from New York, and we had an event, and there she was. She came and spoke, and I have to also listen to her. You should go up in line. I'll try to maybe post it, her class again, to really get to that whole new level of understanding this brain of ours. But just if you just know something very small that is so powerful, that will help you understand why CBTT and the whole spiritual rituals are so important for your brain. So she explained it as follows. There's the prefrontal cortex, and that part of your brain is connected to cognition and reasoning. And then there's the part of your brain in the hippocampus where the amygdala is, and I'm not an expert in this, and I'm still studying it. But the simple fact is that these two parts of our brain are kind of like the, I don't know, you know, in the Tanya talks about when one is up, the other one is down. So when Esav, you know, your Esav, like your animal soul goes up, then your godly soul is like in captivity. And the more you do to get your godly soul out of captivity, then like your animal soul, you know, isn't as you know, a challenge for you. So the part of your brain that deals with fears, anxieties, depression is the amygdala. And depending on how you sharpen your prefrontal cortex part of your brain, then that part of your rational being, as it becomes stronger, then the amygdala gets weaker and doesn't have as control in your life to cause you to feel the anxiety, the fear, the depression. So one has to do with the other. Either you're going to maximize the potential of your brain power, put good use to it. Science shows us the more you program your brain to think positive, then your emotions are positive. If you don't do that work, your amygdala is in power. And it's on cruise control, and it's on anxiety and depending fire, water, air, and earth. It takes over. So you can't be lazy about it. Just like you can't be lazy about your health regarding exercise and eating right, you need brain training. And what better way for us, the people of the book, to get directly from God how to attach my head, my prefrontal cortex, part of my brain, my reasoning part of my brain, to help me out of this very interesting dance between almost a, you know, one of those very, you know, challenging, you know, steps that one takes to learn to dance. You know, do this step, you go this, like it's just a dance of your mind, you know, to make sure that you will have increased reasoning in your prefrontal cortex. And that's why CBT is so successful. But without the CBT approach, not managing to see the full spectrum of things that can hijack your mind, like lack of sleep, proper diet, and more importantly, the spiritual component of your godly intellect. That's part of the equation to help your godly soul that mainly resides in your brain, by the way. That's like, you know, it's main, you know, I have friends who have two homes, one in Miami and one in New York. You know, so the main home is, you know, in the head. To be able to access the real home eventually that's in Miami, the better, wonderful, fun home. Like you have to go and you have to work in New York to be able to afford the, you know, the second home in Miami. So you have to afford the time in the place called your head to be able to get and access the most amazing home of your heart. And without that, then the non-holy part of your heart, where the Yetzer Hara mainly resides also, takes over. The amygdala takes over. So, interesting because, you know, in Tanya it says, and it was so fascinating when I read this, and I think I'm going to go as long as I can today because I have a little peace and quiet in this house, and I've been wanting to share so much, but like people waiting, so like, and this is so important, this information, so I hope from my heart to your heart, it'll help you like it has helped me. In the process of the creation of the world, there were stages, kind of like developmental stages of a baby in a mother's womb. So God went through stages of kind of removing himself more and more to create space so that something can exist physically in the world. So the beginning part of that process was going through the four worlds, as we talked about last week in a different way, but this way you'll understand that in the higher worlds, you know, and please listen to the other class, and I have many classes on it on my YouTube as well, and please be part of our group where I'm posting the actual things that you could see with your own eyes in the WhatsApp group. PM me if you're interested in joining those WhatsApp groups. But so in the beginning process of the creation of the world, where holiness it's kind of like the organic, unadulterated, pure food, you know, like, so there's the organic, pure godliness. As it was descending to more and more diminish that godliness to create a physical world with physical temptation. And so up in the spherotic beginning gestation process of being able to create a world, klipa was not attached. Klipa is meaning the things that are opposite holiness, which in essence, anger, sadness, anxiety, all these things are klipa. They're, you know, if your soul is redeemed and revealed, you have such trust in God, you don't feel anxiety. You have such faith that whatever's happening is for the good, so you don't feel depressed. So up in the highest worlds, where the beginning process of the creation, Chokhmah, God's wisdom was part of the beginning process of creation. And up where Chokhmah is, Klipa is not. Down in the lower worlds, up to leading this world, like it's a lot of Klipa. And that's why Klipa, that is, i.e. emotions, is glued to Klipa. That's why trying to get rid of your emotions is not easy. Do you hear me? It's like something super glued. You don't want to be depressed. You don't want to be angry. You desire it from the kishka of your neshama. But it's taken over. You can't get out of it. So you can't fix your midos. It's like insanity to try and say, I'm going to fix my emotions. Just even from this. You can't. Amygdala takes over. You need your place where your godly intellect resides, where Chokhmah is. That Chokhmah is not attached to Klipa as much, meaning your intellect is not godly intellect. You have to develop that godly intellect. So your intellect up there, it's very like, it's like next to each other, you know? It's not like so super glued. So if you go to a feather that's on your hand, right? So when you put godly knowledge in that brain, the unholy intellect is more easily able to melt away. Now your godly intellect is developed. Your cognition now, your godly cognition, your prefrontal cortex is actually physiologically sharpened, thicker. The research shows, you could see it in all the, you know, the pictures of the difference. Now that you have a changed outlook, Chokhmah develops, holy godly Chokhmah develops the healthy emotions. Now you have a birth of healthy emotions. You didn't have to like choke yourself. You didn't have to battle the impossible, because you can't. You can't head on deal with emotions and try to get out of it. It's not going to happen. Amygdala is on fire, even from just a physiological perspective. Godly intellect is very easy to banish the darkness of the unholy intellect. Where that is, it's not a klipa that is so attached to your brain. Now, for people who have OCD thinking, and people who have a mushy mind, and people who are eating really terribly food that's just like hijacked their mind, it's not easy for them. But knowing this, it'll be easier for them. Knowing this now, they'll understand the mechanism of their physiological brain, and they'll understand now what they need to do. And even though their brain is discombobulated, whether they're on medications or not, but they'll say, wow, I've been doing things wrong. I've been trying to conquer this emotion of mine. And my brain is so mushy, I need to focus on my brain. As mushy as it is, as all over it is, as complicated it is to focus on this one sentence or this one word, and trust me, 35 years of my clients, I know the challenge, and because I had that kind of brain, I had that challenge. I could not focus on one word. I couldn't read a sentence. My brain was really, I can say, one of those brains. And I get their brains because I went through it. And when I understood that I can't battle emotions, and that I have to force myself to face my weakness of my mind, because people don't like to focus on their weakness of their mind. It makes them sick to their stomach. I can't focus. Leave me alone. It's making me feel like an idiot. Let me just go do chesed all my life. I can't face the demon of my weak mind. And so you busy yourself doing all kinds of wonderful things, but your mind gets mushier. Then your emotions get really more, and life events just break you. You got to face it. If you know you're weak, you're really weak, you need to strengthen those muscles. If you sit on the couch, it'll atrophy. And you might not be able to face that you're weak. So you just sit there. No, I'm just so weak. I'm not going to do anything. No, but the physiotherapist says if you don't move it, you're going to be stuck in that state and harmed. You got to push a little bit. And it's not easy. But hopefully this now information will make it easier for you. Hopefully you can demystify the monster and realize where that monster is. That's the key to your redemption. So, I was reading in last week's Parsha, and I was sitting there in shul. Oh my goodness. Wow, it says here, and this was from Parsha's Shoftim, that we are likened to the tree of the field. And you would think, what? A tree is like trapped. It's not moving. It seems like it's like stationary. Wouldn't you think because we say we should be bold as a lion or leopard or whatever in Pirkei Avot, moving. Let's be connected to some moving object. Maybe a shooting star. I mean, I'm sure we're also likened to that. But why such a big deal of this tree of the field? Why the connection? And this is great to learn on, the holiday of the trees, Tu B'Shvat. But for now, we'll learn it now and hopefully remember this the next time we remember the symbolism of us being like a tree. So let me read here, because it's so beautifully written in the Good Chimush, that what's the unique quality of a tree, which no animal possesses, is that it's firmly and deeply rooted in its source of life and energy. The ground. And due to this firm rooting, the tree grows taller and taller and stronger, more than any member of the animal kingdom. So the tree within man is part of his makeup, which is A, the most deep rooted in the soul, and B, it's the most powerful. And this is his character and his emotions. Hold on, we'll get to, wait a minute, we just said emotions is so hard, and here it acknowledges that. So, at first glance, the intellect would appear to be man's most expressive and personal faculty. So Hasidic thought teaches us that one's emotions and characters are in fact more deep-rooted in the soul. For this reason, our emotions tend to be powerful and uncompromising, like a tall tree, because of their deep roots that once unleashed, it could bring the inner well springs of the soul powers directly into our conscious arena. Intellect, on the other hand, has no fixed roots. It's like members of the animal kingdom. It's not fixed in one particular place. So we can be involved in all kinds of intellectually stimulating sorts of matters and have no personal connection to it. Intellect is not deeply rooted in the soul. So changing one's mind, again, back to the same point, is relatively easy compared to changing your emotions. So you have to know how to fight your battles. You have to know where the territory is first and foremost means conquering. Because it's easy there to conquer it. Your emotions aren't. Because, we see here, changing one's mind is relatively easy. It seems not, honestly. I mean, clients of mine say my brain is, and they can't even imagine, some of them in 30 days, like they have such a different brain. And science shows it in 60 seconds every day, like in 30 days, you can have a different brain. Let me tell you, I've witnessed it. So it's a kriyat yamsuf. It's like, whoa, that different. But it's an illusion that what our brain is like at this second can be so different in such a short period of time. So it says here, it's so difficult changing one's personality, if they're miserly to generous, from really wickedness to goodness, just like it's not easy to uproot a tree, because it's so deeply rooted. But yet the Torah tells us we need to change our midos. We need to refine ourselves. We need to be more generous. We need to be more kind, compassionate. Hello? But here we're saying it's not so easy. But the Torah gives us the guide. And now science is giving us the guide, matching what our deep secrets of the Torah have been available to us for thousands of years. So, when we know how to battle this battle, then we'll bring perfection to the inner aspects of our soul, which is the roots of our emotions. I was once somewhere, and it reminds me, I'll finish this in a minute, but I don't know, it was some kind of like Jewish video of something, and I remember the aha moment where, because you think, oh my gosh, I have to conquer my, the whole thing is moach shalet al halev, moach shalet al halev, and I have had these conversations with different people, like kind of trying to understand, what is it? Is it moach shalet al halev? Like, but yet we're supposed to get out of our head. It's kind of confusing. Moach shalet al halev is your head being able to override lev, your heart, which that's the first battleground. But yet we're taught we got to get out of our head because our head can, trap us, and, our rational thinking will say, well, we don't even have money to buy food and pay the rent. I'm not going to give charity. Like, your head can get in the way. And you have to, access the deeper part of your heart to be able to tap into the bitachon and the emunah and faith and trust, to be able to go over your head that is a rational thinking mind. So in this clip, I remember hearing the conversation between two trying to figure it out. How can it be? And the rabbi in this clip said, and it was so long ago, but I can clearly hear it now, so I don't even remember who the rabbi was, that yes, first we have to do moach sholet ala lev. That's the first battle. But the next place is pnimiyut halev, the inner essence of our heart, to override our mind. But we can't get to the pnimiyut halev until we access the godly intellect. And that goes back to Parshas Bo, when the Rebbe actually teaches us that the Yitzias Mitzrayim whole experience is get out of your enslavement. Get out of your constrictions. First, you have to slay your ungodly intellect. That represents the slaying of the firstborn son. Then you have to redeem your firstborn son, which represents you have to redeem your godly intellect, because that's where it is easy to change. Once you get that, hopefully more and more of a taste of that redemption in your mind, the buck does not stop there. You got to take that and run out of Mitzrayim. Run out of the constraint of your mind, the constricted mind. You got to get that godly soul, run with it to your heart. And that's meditation and prayer. If you don't have that key ingredient, then the godly intellect stays in Mitzrayim and becomes actually possibly a poison to you. You become maybe arrogant, distant from people, looking down at people. You're so many possibilities of this Torah becoming a poison. Because the point is not to be an intellectual genius. The point is to use that knowledge to shine its light in your heart, to redeem the inner essence of your heart, because you're going to be banishing the darkness of the amygdala type of junk, anxieties and fears and sadness. Then the pnimiyut halev takes over. The healthy emotions begin to develop. Then you have a little more redemption and peace of mind, because your emotions that got developed from that sharpened godly intellect is so much more beautiful than the other part of your unholy emotions that comes from an unholy intellect. Open up the door to your godly intellect, it gives birth to healthy emotion. You don't do that, your brain goes on cruise control, the amygdala, your heart, because your cortex lining, prefrontal cortex brain is sleeping. This is our Torah. This is our remedy. This is the truth. Oh, I got such an obnoxious, I'm sorry, I get sometimes some of the most obnoxious texts, and maybe she's hearing this. People that I did so much chesed to, had so much compassion toward. People that I gave the answer to. And for whatever reason, you could take a horse to drink the water, but they may not drink. And all of a sudden it's your fault that you did the wrong thing for that, and because you're not a... Do they know all the truth? Do you know how they were shining and when they were nourishing themselves and getting the help, when they were open to it, but then someone convinced them it's a wrong approach to whatever, and then they went the other direction to get the other kind of help, and that's when the spiraling happened, and then blaming it on someone like me? And I get this a lot. And it's not easy to be in my position, I have to say. Because this is a big klipa. Big klipa out there. And I always say, yes, the brain can be frazzled by trauma when you have a weak mind. But the fortified mind with amuna and bitachon, then your brain is so fortified, your cortex is so strong, then things don't as easily shatter and traumatize you. Lech lecha, Hashem said you can leave the past behind. Avraham, you went through so much trauma. Your own father wanted to kill you and didn't care about you. The whole society, the whole world was against you. But you were strong. You were a trailblazer. And you went forward marching. God's saying to Abraham and to all future generations, you do not have to be trapped by your past. In fact, your past is what makes you. Science might tell you it breaks you. But that's a choice. Are you going to wallow in that victimhood and believe what the nonsense they're teaching you? Or are you going to believe in the positivity and even the science out there in the world that says your brain is not a byproduct of what was? You have the power to rebuild your brain. And it's a matter of choice. And it's not a matter of choice for many because they don't give them that choice and no one's judging them. And I feel bad for people. That's why I'm driven. That's why I'm doing this. Because nonstop, sometimes 10 times a day, I'm hearing all the horror stories of people's mental and emotional and now even more medical traumas. It's not easy to put yourself out there with the truth when the whole world can look at you like in a way that sometimes you just feel like, what's this all about? But I remember the story of my life in Israel. And we were about to make Aliyah at the time. And there was a war going on. And people said, wait, don't go. Are you sure you want to live there? I remember thinking, many stories of the Holocaust where people would say, they can break my body, but they're not going to break my spirit. They can steal my body by not giving me food, by weakening, but darn it, I will not let them win the war of my soul. And I was thinking, like, if I don't go, then I'm feeding the problem. And what a life is that to live being dictated by the outer forces of what's out there that can stop you and prevent you from doing what's right and what's holy. And trust me, even some family members will think you're not normal because you're spending time davening for that long. And, well, you already daven. Well, learn, meditate, hello, life, stop, like, there's so much around people that can steal them away from feeling like, no, I'm not normal. This is normal. This is normal. The other way is not normal. To live a life of a chicken almost running without a head. Go, 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 go. Money, money, money. Go, 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 go. Not your family, not your neshama. And how many women come to me that in-laws or their own husbands forcing them like to go work and early and to late and at least we have now some more answers of how to like really fight the battle, knowing which places we need to conquer first, knowing that this is, from a scientific and Torah perspective, a must. Right now, with all the degenerative mind diseases that are plaguing people at 55 and 60, oh my gosh. And Dr. Sarah Lazar showed that the meditations and the prayers and the learning caused these people to have like almost nothing compared to the population that wasn't doing that. Like, what better proof is that? I mean, we don't need the proof. God is telling us this is the way to live your life in harmony, mind, body, and soul. I feel for people. I'm just one person. I'm so thankful I have a team here of people that are on the same page as me. I'm really happy we have this soul sisterhood group, that like-minded people who smell the truth, that know the stinkiness of a lot of what's going out there in the world, that's really taking us away from our grounded, holy, most best self. Thank God we have access to the wisdom of Torah. And I beg people, like, you know, like people tell me, why don't you do more advertisement on the book? Why don't you do this? Hello, it's a lot of money. One ad is $500, and in each book you maybe get $1 and 50% goes to the government. It's not like so much money, all these things. You, my dear soul sisters, you out there on Facebook, and maybe you're listening to YouTube, you be your lamplighter. Share your light. Share what you've gained from this. Share what you could do. I'm just one person. And remember, the more you take that role of being able to do your baby steps of sharing what you know Aleph, your Aleph becomes Aleph base Gimel, ABC, and it becomes like exponentially the power of your mind grows spiritually, mentally, physically, from doing something about the problem and not letting you be part of the problem. And by doing that, again, your inspired life is the light that acts like a flashlight to like ignite your whole soully powers. I remember one time, oh my gosh, I was suffering so much, 5.5 years, and in the interim of those 5.5 years, barely could walk a half a block. Barely when I spoke, I felt someone was punching me like nonstop, but I didn't want to quit speaking, and I didn't want to quit my gemach, which made me have to carry heavy bags. My witnesses of the people where I lived. I lived in a little apartment, and the doorway and the hallway and the stairs leading up to the you know, elevator, and it was so hard for me. Hard for me to teach, hard for me to continue with this gemach. And I'm not trying to praise myself, I'm just trying to say that the letter I got was like exactly what I needed to hear to not give up. And one of the letters of the Rebbe was, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. It said, I'm surprised at you. Don't you know that because of my father-in-law's gemach, that gemach is like, you know, like a society of goodness and active and kindness to help others. Whether there's sometimes food gemachs you can go to, there's clothing gemachs, you know, It's a like an organizational effort to help people get what they need. So I was doing recycling of clothes after I recycled clothes to give it to poor people, and then whatever was left over that nobody wanted, we recycled, and we raised money for my nonprofit organization. Because I'm not a successful fundraiser. I just wasn't my mazal, so I said I'll just do something about it and like sell things, because anyways I was giving this clothing to poor people, so let me try to sell the leftovers to then at least make money for the poor people. And by miracle, I happened to meet someone who was just across the street from me. It was just really a miracle, through one of my classmates, and it was a miracle. Someone asked me, "Do you know this person across the street who sells clothing?" I said, "Well, it's just really the corner of my house." And I said, maybe this is a sign, and we had a partnership, and really because of him, I was able to do it. He did all the more heavy duty, traveling, taking the stuff to the different locations to sell. Well, I know I'm off on a little tangent, but the point was in this letter that the Rebbe said that the Frierdiker Rebbe, like 1,000-fold, his mind could understand and reach its potential because of being involved and helping others. Whether it's teaching Aleph Beis, whether it's the Gemachs, and I didn't want to lose that. I was like on a campaign to redeem my mind and get the maximum potential of my brain. Who would want to leave that? It came from a little selfish perspective. But the Rebbe knew I needed a little fire of a temptation for my animal soul to not let me give up. Which, by the way, we are about to launch a new market, because I'm here. I haven't been, a little bit I do recycling of food to poor families here, and a little recycling clothes, but barely. I decided to go on the next level and take my products. Sorry, I just remembered, so I can announce it here. Soon will be uploaded on my website all kinds of beautiful products to sell as a fundraiser for my nonprofit. We have many designers. One of them was Hannah. She designed CBTT things. And another woman, a recent miracle, Masai, who is Sarah I introduced you to. She's also an artist and designing products that I have in my books as products, cups, t-shirts, watches, gorgeous stuff, posters. It's really exciting. So we got to do what we got to do to realize the things that we do don't make sense, that it's going to affect our positive mindsets. It doesn't make sense. I'm going to continue this gemach and get a blessing like the Frierdiker Rebbe, that my intellect will grow 1,000-fold. Who would think that? But the Torah teaches us, and when we have 1,000-fold intellectual superpower being born, then we access the pnimiyut of our heart. Then we have emotional mastery. And it's not really mastery anymore, because it's just a birthing of healthy emotions. So what we eat, like the Rebbe Rashab said, affects our emotions. What we do affects our intellect and our emotions. What we eat affects our intellect and emotions. So from the outside in, we're sharpening all these things up, and it doesn't make sense that these things do sharpen. But read it in my books that I quote from the Rebbe Rashab. The way we eat affects our spiritual component of our brain, that affects then our negative emotions. And science, thank God, is showing that what you eat physiologically also changes your brain and affects it in a negative way. But we're talking about also the spiritual, and we got to pay attention to both. I hope you're not overwhelmed by this all. There's so much I have here to say, but I think I'm going to go a little over time, because I've been wanting to say a lot and just always rushed and have to go. So a little bit more about your brain and cravings. we know that food cravings originate in the brain, not just your belly. Hormones, memories, sights, smells, emotions, thoughts, and signals between brain cells all influence what and how much you want to eat. For example, research shows that when we see images on TV, and thank God, like for us that banned TV many, many years ago, but we're bombarded now a little bit. You know, you're on YouTube or we're on WhatsApps, and we can be seeing it in a billboard, but trigger cravings and drive consumption, even when, you know, how much more so when you're hungry, even after you already ate a meal. It's unbelievable. That's why trillions of dollars are spent sometimes on a few commercials, because they know they're going to make that much more trillions of dollars from the ad and the commercial. And this is not only for what we're seeing, but what we're smelling. Oh my gosh. These internal physical cues, okay, kick off our cravings. Our brain, generally speaking, there's so much evidence in support of the idea that, you know, when we're lacking specific vitamins and minerals, it could trigger the craving. You know, when we have nutritional deficiencies, it could cause our brain to have cravings. You know, because whatever is gapped, meaning missing, then our brain then like almost, you know, takes its toll and makes us and forces us to want to have these foods, especially when our blood sugar is low because we skipped a meal. So then our body is craving carbohydrates and sugary stuff because the body needs the energy. And this is the best energy, as it were, when it's seemingly for what we need to break down the glucose in our body so that we'll have energy. So we'll be able to, like, you know, when we're sleep deprived, our carbohydrate cravings spike. So there's certain foods, fake fats, sugars, and certain other addictive food groups that honestly cause our brain to have a sudden spike in dopamine. And these are parts of the brain that like helps us feel we're rewarded and we're getting an emotional high, an emotional pleasure. There's a director of the Laboratory of Nutritional Neuroscience in Beth Israel. His name is Miguel Alonso, and he writes that, wow, that, you know, this addictive quality of our brain, you know, that signals our brain to like even eat more than we need. And that, you know, the cravings and the food preferences, you know, can change over time, especially if a person begins to, you know, become more and more deprived of the food they really need. So rather than approaching, you know, your cravings, you know, from an emotional place, you have to realize where the cravings are coming from the intellectual place and also from the lack of the nutrients or the lack of sleep that you have. So we need to get into mindful habits, as I always say, and once we better take care of ourselves and we can minimize these cravings that overtake us, and we seem to have also loss of control. And you have to ask yourself, maybe write this down, are you truly hungry? Maybe you're actually thirsty, right? Because the same symptoms of dehydration and hunger. Are you tired? Because if you're tired, your body's going to crave that food, and it's not because you're hungry. You need to rest. Are you stimulated by the EMFs and the blue lights that's making you not be able to sleep, and so you can't sleep, and then you're more tired, and then you want to eat at the late at night and go binging in the refrigerator? But had you not been on your phone and had the blue lights not affected you, you would have been sleeping and you wouldn't have been hungry. Are you so stressed that you need to soothe yourself? Can you soothe yourself in a different way? Put on beautiful music, meditate, pray to heal Him, find different things that will soothe you. Because, food can be like a self-medication. And there's a person, his name is, I guess it just says Anderman. Didn't say his first name here, or that's his first name, but he says that cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT, really can help with emotional cravings as you gain more control over your habits of being able to use your mind more when dealing with food. Also, being more active is linked to greater ability to control eating. It does something to your brain. The euphoria, the endorphins, the oxytocin, the dopamine makes you less needy of the happy chemicals from food. So when you find yourself craving some kind of food, ask yourself a question. Why am I craving this? Maybe it's one of the above reasons. Maybe have it on your refrigerator. Hey, let's do that. Can we write this down and put this on the cookbook? And people can print it. Put it on your refrigerator and get in the habit before you go into the refrigerator, especially when you're having one of those cravings, to ask yourself these questions. Am I thirsty? Am I tired? Am I trying to get a personal reward here and excitate my happy chemicals? Wow. So why am I craving this food? And it says here that, your ultimate goal should never be simply not to eat the food that you're craving. So that's not the point. We're actually Hasidim are, and especially this generation, we're taught we're not supposed to, deprive ourselves of the physical. We're supposed to elevate the physical. Like, we're supposed to have pleasure in food, whether it's Shabbat, especially, whether it's the holidays. We're supposed to elevate those sparks. I remember a story of a chassid who was not well informed and shunned physicality and shunned and like almost cave-like existence and actually got very sick from under eating too much, and and I think, I don't know which Rebbe it was, but like they say one day you're going to go up to heaven and God is going to like, hello, why didn't you elevate your portion of the sparks of the world? We're here to elevate these sparks of food too. But again, moderation, what's healthy for your brain, the amount that's not going to cause you to be under the strength of doing Torah mitzvahs, everything in moderation. So it's not like, okay, you have some cravings, go for it, but like the kind of cravings that's going to put you, you know, in a deep state of even depression because you just fed your animal soul too much, or state of anxiety, or state of anger, or lethargic and not able to do anything. Food is a great pleasure, and God wants us to have pleasure in food. And we are pleasure-seeking creatures. So a suggestion is don't deprive yourself too much. You know, sometimes you have to go, as the Rambam says, the opposite extreme, you know, to be able to handle the fact that you can't handle stopping yourself. And tell yourself, soon I'll get to the middle path. Now I'm just going on a little path of a little less for a period of time to get my brain in the good habit of getting the pleasure elsewhere. And once I get more a handle over these cravings and these addictions and these overeating and emotional eating, then I'll, please God, reintroduce more of the pleasure experience also in food. Please God. Wow. It was just so much. Every time I Baruch Hashem, like, I'm going to do this, and then maybe the other thing I'll do next week. I've so much I've been hearing and reading, and this is, again, the section about, and you know, I'm sorry if I'm doing too much and overload, but that way it'll be here for the record. I might be traveling for 5 weeks. I don't know. This might be, maybe I have one more class maybe to do until I travel. I don't know if I'm traveling. There was an incident that we're waiting for results. One of my family members got in a bit of not a car accident, but an accident, and dealing with possible surgery. Like, it's been and not just one person, it's just, trust me, not been an easy week, but there's a book by Dr. Gundry. He's kind of pretty out there and has a lot of success. He shows his before and after pictures and you know, on his videos and also on his books, and he says, like, there's he mentioned in one of the that there's like 3 different things that you could do to bypass what he calls you know, your calorie intake. Because normally you have a certain amount of food, and then if it's too much, it stores it to fat, and then it's like very hard to lose weight because it's just the accumulation over the years. So he says, like, there's one of the main ways, again, proving what we were talking about, you know, is the under eating, but especially, you know, the 12-hour minimal fast a day. He says that's a way that your body can shed the fat. Otherwise, it's very hard to get rid of the fat. And I've seen it, and I've coached people to do it, and they've succeeded in doing it. And yes, if you're emotionally eating, it's very hard to fast for 12 hours. So we hopefully will not have as much emotional eating after today. Get your cortex lining, get your spirit, so that you'll be able to do the 12-hour fast. But if you're not the type that's emotionally eating, and you just are eating and maybe skipping meals, then do it this way. If you're going to skip meals, do it that 12-hour period. You can go up to even 14 and 16 hours a day. And just to do that to lose the weight. And then once you lose the weight, you might want to continue that the rest of your life, and it's healthy. Really healthy for longevity and anti-sickness and anti-everything. But if you're tired of it and don't want to, then you lost the weight, then you go to the middle ground, and you'll be more careful to not gain the weight by being active and doing the right choices for whether it's your blood type, or minimize the amount in one sitting, and maybe have multiple meals so that, you know, that your body is not overtaxed. Second thing he says is that this 12-hour fasting actually activates the most powerful source of using your fat as energy, which activates the ketosis level, which is what we need. We need the ketones in our body to help us get rid of the fat that's just not getting off, no matter how much we exercise, no matter how much, we're on a diet and whatever, and it's just not moving. Even though we're moving and moving. How many people I hear? They exercise so many hours, and I went through it myself. So the other thing he says is increase your polyphenols, which also helps you to bypass this calorie, retention and the fat retention in your body. So pomegranates and berries and this. I find grapefruit actually very helpful, to have at least one grapefruit a day. You got to find, I find also that even though MCT oils are not part of, an O diet, I found that having an MCT oil that you could buy, putting it on your salad, one of the meals, and maybe, you'll have olive oil like in the other meal, but having, these the good oil helps also get rid of fat. So it's highly recommended. Wow. I'm going to go for the gold here. I still have a little time. So we also know more alkaline diet. I've been very into especially after 40, Donna Gates' Ecology Diet book. I find that at least 60 to 70, and exactly if you're after age 40, you can go up to even 80% of an alkaline diet. That you need the acid in your diet, but the more alkaline, the better. But not too much alkaline, because you don't have the acid and the 20% acid, then it's also not healthy. But and here in this book, Alkalize or Die, which is Kacha Pratis, it talks about, prevention of future diseases. And you have to dangle that like in front of your animal soul. When you want to eat too much acidic food and too much of junk food and sugar food and fake foods, you gotta dangle a little in front of your animal soul. You don't want to be not well. Look at this person, look at that person, look at the heartache, look at the whole family. It's not about you, yourself, and your suffering. The whole family suffers. Do what it takes to convince from your rational mind. I hate suffering. A little prick in my finger hurts, and I can't. I've had a numb finger, and I have to type, and it's so hard. It's such suffering. That's another thing I had. I don't know, was it 2 weeks ago? And it's still numb, and it's still tingling, and it still hurts. And I hate suffering. You gotta look into the future, not just today. You have to look at what your responsibility, your future of your own whole household, your own. Kingdom. So here's some information of what's going to happen when you have a more alkaline diet. So when we're too acidic, when we're too overindulgent in acidic acid-forming foods, especially processed foods, your body gets sick. To be able to, and if you are sick, especially, if you can sustain an alkaline reserve of being able to eat 80%, and this book also says 80-20, not just Donna Gates, meaning 80% of your foods should be alkaline forming, and I'll send you the list again. We made a beautiful list to explain, and I'll post it in our CBTT support chat group. To know how to combine food so it's that what you're eating is not going to turn into acid, because Sometimes combining foods wrong really increases the already acid food. So, and this goes back to, back in time, the clinical research from the greats of our nutritional giants. And this comes from Hippocrates. How do you say him? Hippocrates? They have a Hippocrates Center. He's been using this ratio to cure and heal virtually every condition known. And I was in these health retreats when I took my mom, year after year, years and weeks being there, and I gave classes there, so people come over and talk to me and tell me, you see the people swarming around me, wanting to tell them their story, and then I would hear the stories of people who keep coming back because they had terminal illnesses, no hope, and they came to this detox to do an alkaline diet and gone. So many of them. Years I heard these stories, and you read these. It's not a bluff. So if you eat this way, then your alkaline reserves will not diminish. You need alkaline reserves. And God created these alkaline reserves to neutralize the acids that we form from moment to moment. And it's really an amazement of God's creation. It's like beyond mind-blowing. And these alkaline reserves are the mystery to excellent health. So he's going to go through some of the body parts, and I don't know if I can really go through all of it. I mean, it's like hundreds of pages of book.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I have a comment and then a question, please. So I started it a couple of days ago, vegetables and water, and I couldn't go to the bathroom until today, so it's the third day.
What vegetables are you eating? But can you keep that question, and we will discuss that. But basically, are you drinking enough water? What vegetables are you eating? Some people, and that's why the blood type diet, really, I highly recommend, because he'll tell you, avoid this vegetable. This is not good for you. And it's so interesting because I just was doing it now with my daughter last night. And the things that were not on her diet, I've noticed, and she's noticed when she eats that, even though it's healthy, it was on her avoid list. And it's a vegetable or a fruit. So that might be your answer. I don't know, but we could talk more in detail after. Because that might be a reason. Sometimes it could be, the body has to get used to it because it hasn't been eating it for so long. Drinking a little more water can really help. People sometimes are underhydrated, and that's very constipating. But anyway, thank you for the question, and that led to a very important factor in what vegetables you may be careful about ingesting, because for someone else it's on their high list of beneficial, and for someone else's blood type it's on the danger list. Not danger, but like avoid. Try to avoid. I mean, have it every once in a while. Take pleasure in it, but make sure it's not your main staple. Maybe eat it 20% of the time of your week or whatever. So let's hear what it does to the heart. I hope that was helpful. Okay. So the heart is one of the most alkaline dependent organ in your body. And if it's not toxin free, it puts a tremendous strain on your heart. Correct heartbeat is altered by acid wastes. Write this down. Wow. Proper oxygenation and degeneration of the heart, God forbid, could follow. An alkaline system creates an ideal heart function. Stomach, and I'm not going into all the details of each part, but just a few little things. Dangle that in front of your animal soul next time you see some very acidic food and you're overdoing it. Without the proper hydrochloric acid to break down foods, your food becomes too acidic. And this actually creates multiple problems, so that your stomach does not function. Well, and he says most of this book is relating to stomach malfunction in relation to alkaline and acid food. The liver, he says, there's 300 functions, and it processes acid toxins from the blood and produces numerous alkaline enzymes for the system. And it's the first line of defense against any poisons in your body. When the load of the liver is too much and it's heavier with the acid waste products that are constantly flowing in the blood, this organ, the liver, gets too congested with the protein acid waste. And God forbid, I don't want to say what's here, it's just not good. So really cleaning up your liver is the river of life by really paying attention to the alkaline forming principles that is so important to keep all bodily organs healthy. Pancreas. And by me saying this and sharing this, may Hashem give me the ability to continue to share this till I'm, please God, a living example of paying attention to all this and trying to be responsible in all this myself. So the pancreatic function reduces excess acidity. It also regulates the blood sugar balance, which gives you energy in the body. So if you have the proper blood sugar balance, because your blood isn't so acidic, then your pancreas works better. And so it will digest your foods with the enzymes you need. The small intestines. They're crucial to life. They're really essential for proper assimilation of food throughout your system. It's really important, and it links itself between the autonomic and the cerebrospinal nervous system. So, here is where the major alkalizing substance is created. But if you have an interrupted flow to this part of your body because it's too acidic, then you won't have the, this ability, and you'll overburden, your small intestines. And this is what gives you the length of your life. The kidneys, when you're too overstressed also, you create in your body acid. So, and then these acid from either stress or for too acidic of a diet causes kidney stones. And they're composed of this waste acid in the cells. And then these mineral salts, are gummed together and make these stones. And they're acid-forming products that you're ingesting that increases your chance, God forbid, of this painful acid induced condition. Thyroid. The thyroid is an overall alkaline system, and of utmost importance for the thyroid as well as the organs to guard your brain. The thyroid gland is very dependent upon iodine, which assists in the eliminating of the excess acids that can go up to your brain. So, if you overburden your body with too much acid and your thyroid can't deal with it, and the thyroid is sending it up to your brain, and then your brain is dysfunctioning. Remember, what you eat affects your brain. The spleen. It performs best in an alkaline environment. If it's too acidic and this organ is too burdened, then it becomes enlarged and its job slows down, and there's further toxicity then that goes to all systems. The adrenal glands that produce hormones that help you increase energy and also help the liver and regulate your blood sugar need an alkaline forming base. Again, when I say alkaline forming, not all alkaline. Depending, men can go 50-60%, I read in many different places. Women can go up to 60-80% alkaline. And you do need the acid forming food. You don't, I'm a vegetarian just because all this. No, you need a balance. And this is the balance that works. And each to their own. Maybe some can only do the 50-50. You have to figure it out. You have to see how you feel with it. In the beginning, it could be a little hard, and you can think it's not for you because it's detoxifying you, and you're getting the, they're called the crisis healing, and it feels headache and nausea maybe because you're getting rid of the toxins by doing it. So the colon must be clean of acid waste. Poisons collect in the colon walls, and that's where constipation happens. And then it becomes reabsorbed into the bloodstream. So actually, it's so exciting that they say how beneficial is colonics is, and I recommend many people who've been on antibiotics and so many medications and wrong diets for so long, do an enema, do a colonic. It's so good, and he actually suggests at least 3 to 4 times a year. So lymph system. Wow. Not only does this fluid, carries nutrition to all the cells, but it removes acid waste products as well. So this lymph, which I highly recommend jumping on a trampoline, is one of the best way to really get your lymph system going. The lymph fluid flows best in an alkaline medium. When the body is overly acidic, it slows down, creating one of the most chronic, long-term, life-threatening situations. When the lymph dries out and begins to form very tiny adhesions throughout these tissues, so not only does this kind of tear, as it were, interfere with the flow of the fluid, but also with the blood flow. And then this is where, blood blockages begin. And so many plethora of diseases occur because of a hindered lymph flow. And it says here, acid waste products reach the tissues almost through the lymph and the blood. And if it's toxic, oh my gosh, then it's dumped into the general circulation of the blood and the lymph, and not drinking the proper water will also slow down the lymph. And this book actually really also talks about, alkaline water or distilled water. So, very interesting, isn't it? Did you dangle that in front of your Yetzer Hara? Wow. So much more to learn, but we'll keep some for next week. Hopefully we'll meet up again. I want to do a meditation, and I'd like to first give Sarah her chance because she may have to go, and I just want to remember that we're going to try to do a meditation, and then we'll do the support group after. And those of you who are on Facebook who want to be part of the support group, we shut down Facebook for privacy and people who do not want to be recorded, because this is going to be on YouTube. All right, so Sarah, how are you? Wow, I went for an hour and a half.
Well, it's all good. It was some good information. A lot of good information.
I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. If you get to this on Facebook, take it in piecemeal if you need to be, pun intended. Gotta do everything in like portions. Yeah, wow. Thank you for hanging on here, because as I said, I just feel so free to just go. And I need it right now, actually.
For sure, definitely. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. I'm just gonna ride the wave which we're talking about with using the prefrontal cortex, with fighting the enemy. Water, yes, that's a good one. So I'm titling it Identifying and Exposing the Inner Enemy. So this particular one I want to focus on is the Philistine.
Can you speak a little louder? I don't know. I'm having a hard time. Maybe it's my phone. Oh, maybe it's my phone, actually.
Okay.
Well, I hope you guys heard me. It was like half. There. Oh, wow. Did you guys hear me?
Yeah, I didn't have any problems.
Because okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. I'm titling this one Identifying and Exposing the Inner Enemy. So we have several different inner enemies. If we could look all throughout the Tanakh, we can see all the different enemies that came up against Israel, Laban being one of them, also Bilam being another, Haman being another enemy. But the enemy that I want to focus on in particular for today is the Philistines. So we have three different heroes that were faced with challenged with these particular enemies. One of them being Yitzhak Avinu, Isaac our father, whose father, Abraham Avinu, right? He started with the Philistines, but he didn't finish the work, right? So it was left with Yitzhak, right? So Yitzhak Avinu had to fight against he didn't fight against the Philistines. There was a quarrel, right? And the issue with them digging wells, and then the Philistines dumping up the wells, right? Then we have David Amalek, right? With Goliath, who was also a Philistine, right? Part of Philistines. He's faced with this big giant, right? And we have Shimshon, who was also faced with the enemy of the Philistines. When in his situation, I'm giving from Judges 15, when he killed 1,000 Philistines with the jawbone, the donkey, the jawbone of a donkey. So, in any event, the enemy, right? I want to circle in on that. What is the type of negativity that comes from that's inflicted from this particular enemy? And when I'm talking about this particular enemy, this time I want to talk about internally. We can look about externally. What were the things that the Philistines inflicted, right? These people inflicted fear, right? Oppression, right? These people were like narcissists, they didn't care. They just, it is what it is, right? So with those particular fear, oppression, narcissism, right? What feeling could that produce in us, right? When it's internally, the feeling of powerlessness, right? Because what does a bully do? A bully uses manipulation tactics, uses fear tactics, uses all types of things like, uses your imagination against you and all these things. Let's highlight the situation with David and Goliath, right? Originally, right, when Goliath was going against the children of Israel, right, it says that he tormented them, I think it was 40 days? For 40 days, he would not let them, and Shaul was filled with fear, achieve what I need to achieve with this. I'm always going to be right. And then came the frustration, right? And the feeling of powerlessness that I started to feel, although it wasn't true, it for a long time. So I'm just giving you an example. What is that enemy, your Goliath, the internal Goliath that fights against you, right? What does that look like for you? What is that? It could be an illness, right? For some people, it may not be an issue with weight. It may be health issues that looks like a big beast. You know, that this big giant, not a big beast, but this big giant that there's no way I'm going to be able to fight to come against this bully, right? What does that look like for you? And how does that inflict feelings of powerlessness appear in the prefrontal cortex to the point where you're like, I can't, or the ability to be able to plan out and make and execute is tampered. Is it making sense? Am I making sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions of what I'm saying? Because I just don't want to go over. Seem like it's like not making sense. Okay. What is that? What is that feeling of powerlessness that this particular enemy? Against you, like you're at a moment when you're doing well, and here comes this giant reminding you of, you're not going to, you're not, right? Or because you start experiencing like your issues from the illness, and it makes it get frustrated, like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to get past this point? Why does it feel like I'm just going in a rat race and I can't get off, right? Is that making any sense? Okay. So, what did, in the story with David and Goliath, right? Originally, Shaul gave King David, Shaul gave him his stuff, right? And it didn't fit him, right? That's using, if we want to just say from a metaphorical perspective, right? It could be that could fall under like when you're trying these different things and it's not successful. You've seen it work for other people and it fits them well, and it's just not working for you. You know, for me, I was in the OA program for Overeaters Anonymous, and they had this very restrictive diet program that I just could not stick with. It was just, it was too restrictive. There was no leeway, and so I found myself kept falling and relapsing and getting frustrated. You know what I mean? So for me, that was too big. It didn't fit me. Size does not fit all. When it comes to this, there's not a one size fit all. No, it has to be custom made. You know what I mean? It has to be custom made to your particular soul, your particular, how you relate, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you, what your body can take and what your body can't take. You know what I mean? So for me, that was too big. It didn't fit, right? So King David and Melody took it off. It didn't work, right? What did he grab? 5 smooth stones. So I was like, okay, what could be 5 smooth stones that I can use or that I can share with others when I'm fighting against this particular enemy? So I came up with, based on what I've been with from CBTT principles and what we've been studying and learning over the past couple of weeks. First thing, prayer and meditation. King David Hamelech was not a stranger to prayer. As we can see the whole book of Tehillim, you can see all these different prayers when King David was faced with all these different Shema prayer says like it's like tooth and fourth between your eyes, right? Like right here, and it's interesting. I was like right here in the prefrontal cortex where it's located. But prayer and meditation, reconnecting, connecting back, right? Because here's the thing, like Miriam Yerushalmi has been teaching, we have to ask for God's mercy. We need Hashem's mercy to get through this battle that we're faced with, right? So one of the first smooth stone, prayer, meditation. Second smooth stone, Torah study, right? The word, right? You have the prayer, and then you have the Torah learning immediately after the prayer, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can do. Everybody's schedule is different. Everybody's living situation is different. Everybody's family situation is different. It's about what you can do, where you are, what level you are. You know what I'm saying? And I have seen with a little bit of Torah study that I've been able to learn after prayer, I've been able to maintain my gains a lot easier as opposed to just prayer and then just like kind of like just jumping out there into the world, just doing things and stuff like that. There, I have a tendency to be more reactive, more emotional, more drawn to emotionally eat. You know what I mean? So, Tzedakah, the third stone, Tzedakah, giving it your charity. And I'm not just saying money. I'm saying perhaps there might be a sister that needs some encouragement, a listening ear. You know what I'm saying? Giving some clothes that you don't wear anymore. Making a meal. Baking a nice baked good. Going visiting the sick. Something where you can do where you can give back, right? Pulling yourself out of yourself. Also, it helps bring about more support on the side of good when we're doing charity, because you have more strength. You have more strength and you have more power. I believe in one of the Sidduras that I have, it talks about like before you do some of the prayers and then you take a mid pause and do Tzedakah. So it's like the power of Tzedakah is it can save from death. And I've been a witness to that. The next moonstone, character refinement and Musar, looking at the parts of your character, right, that contribute to these parts where you're not successful with eating, with maintaining a healthy weight, with getting healthy, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Whatever that journey is for you. You know what I mean? What needs to be refined? Where is this stemming from? Doing an analysis like we talked about, like analyze. Where is this, and working on it, uprooting those negative traits one by one, right? One by one, uprooting them and transforming them, with the musar, with the learning, right? Then, and then it becomes more of a good, like it's like you run at a good pace. You know what I mean? Emunah, faith, faith in Hashem, application of the Torah that you've received, that you've acquired, meaning the Torah that you've learned, actually the application of that, and support. For a teacher, a trusted friend, hey, I need support in this area. Can you pray for me, or say a prayer with me in this area. I'm struggling in this area. Having that support, because sometimes there could be some things in your blind spot that you miss. And with a teacher, or a trusted friend, they can catch that from a loving place, like, hey, have you noticed this? I know you mentioned this, but have you noticed this, about this? And from a loving place, not from a place of, so that from that place you can see where you're what needs to be corrected and make the adjustment, with the support of that teacher or loved one who probably knows some tools that can help you, So ultimately, that's what I have for today as far as the exercise or review, mental exercise review. Does anyone have any questions? Yerushalmi?
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
That was spectacular. Oh my goodness. I love the imagery. It's going to stay with me forever. Like breaking down the stones and each one and what one can do. I mean, it is. It's not one size fits all. That's for sure. Oh my gosh. And I think that's why the 12 tribes and the 12 paths of the crossing of the Yam Suf, though one of the teachings is because there's different paths. Even in religious practice, you know, there's the Sephardic tradition, there's Ashkenazi, there's all kinds of Chabad and, you know, Litvish, all kinds of different paths. And Baruch Hashem, in all of our lives, we have to, like, see what fits and see what works for ourselves. But yet there is a basic path, you know, a basic, and the basics do help. And then from there, you just, you know, you learn along the way. Wow. So are we ready for a meditation? Boy, am I. Oh my goodness. Just, we need the oxygen to our brain. Let's understand the mechanism here. Taking deep breaths brings oxygen into our system, helps calm our body down, which helps calm our brain down. When our brain is calmed, it could self-heal. It could fix, it could declutter, it could do what's called neural pruning. Get ridding of old habits that are not working for us as we're programming and infusing and bombarding our brain with the vision of a reality that we want to unfold, the good habit. So we can really begin by being cognizant of where our body is at. Like if you're crossing it, your legs because you're sitting down, uncross it. If you're a little slunched over, like, you know, maybe just get to that, you know, comfortable position that's going to help you feel relaxed. And you could begin to feel as you inhale your deeper breath that you're really feeling the oxygen. Bring in more calmness and tranquility within your body. And as you exhale, you're inviting whatever's stressful, whatever's, you know, really challenging, whether it's your negative thoughts, whether it's the stress and strain in your body, whether it's the acid from the stress, you're just really asking it to leave. And realize that you and your positive experience of breathing in positivity will really help your body become more and more relaxed. Almost like see your breath, maybe a beautiful color that you like, and just like imagine that like peachy pink or light blue, whatever, you know, color you like, and imagine that being such a beautiful healing flow into your body and really helping the body relax. And as your body relaxes, the stress and the acidity leaves you. With every breath you take, and as you invite this relaxation inward, you feel your heartbeat slowly slowing down a bit. feeling calmer, feeling like this wave of relaxation is going to the specific parts of your body that need a little extra help in relaxing. Maybe it's your shoulders and neck. Maybe it's your facial muscles. Maybe it's your eyes, your forehead that's tense. Maybe it's your stomach. Maybe it's everywhere. Just send that wave of relaxation, to its right destination. And there's another helpful tip is to go to places that you like to go to, that's just so beautiful and so inviting and so helpful for you to let go. See the place almost at a distance, and with every step you see yourself getting closer to that place, you feel a deeper sense of peace. You feel a deeper level of relaxation. You've been lately so bombarded with so much stress. It's just, you need the time. You need to go there. You need to have this sacred space and sacred time to really connect with your core, to your soul that makes you align yourself. And you go to this place and you're so close to it and you're smiling. It's just so refreshing to have this time. And you really feel like as you enter the gateway to this gorgeous place, whatever negative, toxic, acid, stress that you've been carrying is invited to leave you. Because in this place, only positivity is allowed in. Wow. The beautiful colors, the beautiful scenery. Oh my gosh. The temperature is just exactly like you like it. The sunshine, the aromas, the fresh air, the clearness, so palpable for every part of your being. Really experiences this beautiful place that's bringing you peace and tranquility. Everything else has been shut off. And this sacred space is helping you tune in. Tune inward to what your body and your mind and your soul needs right now. The sacred space of peace and tranquility, of being able to experience the beauty of God's creation and the gift of life that you have right now. To be able to experience the real delight of this world. To experience the real pleasure. The pleasure of you. The pleasure of the divine in you. The pleasure of being able to be more God-like. pleasure of being a rational being, the pleasure of having a mind that can think, create, the pleasure of your mouth being able to speak and articulate things that are deep in your heart, especially to God right now. Especially having this time to really express and unleash and unload what you've been carrying with you. Your own personal prayer to God. Just being heard is so soothing. Just being able to share your deepest feelings about your struggles and what you want. Just so peaceful. You almost feel like you're in the womb of Hashem in this place. Beautiful embrace, beautiful feeling of I have your back. I'm with you. I'm always with you. You're not alone. This is so healing. You say your prayer. You feel heard. You feel your neshama soaring from this inner peace and tranquility that you've allowed yourself to experience. And you see, here you can see the vision of your best self. And whatever way and what's been challenging you, you can take the time now with God's help, with this greater calmness, to see the vision of the success you want for yourself in taking care of you. See here yourself succeeding, of making yourself a top priority to take care of your body and your mind and your soul. That you're important. That taking care of your body, mind, and soul is such a godly act. It is so imperative for the functioning and protection of your whole being. It is a mitzvah to take care of yourself. You remind yourself you cannot disregard the responsibility of taking care of your body, your mind, and soul. You are the house of Hashem. See what you need to see for your own particular success. Whether it's the food planning, the shopping, the preparation, whether it's seeing yourself not take shortcuts, invest the time in your prayers, in your learning, in your every aspect of your day to make sure that you are taking care of you. No matter what the load of the day is. For the sake of caring for your future ability to be a lamplighter and God's limbs on this earth. Now you take pride in really understanding rationally what you need to do to increase your goals for your mind so that you can develop and give birth to such holy emotions that it'll be easy for you to implement what you know. So it'll be easier for you to organically feel driven and do what's right by you. And if you want right now, practice seeing yourself at the table and seeing your mind be very part of this holy, sacred, spiritual endeavor of nourishing and taking care of you. See yourself being able to mindfully not make your stomach full. See yourself not mindlessly eating. See your beaming aura as you choose properly the life-giving foods that are going to be nutritionally beneficial to you. And it feels good. It feels so free. You feel light, you feel energized, you feel clear-minded, you feel strong, you just feel like you ate your portion. You were happy with your chalik, you were happy and satiated with the portion your body needed and no more, and you walk away after praising God and blessing God for the food you have. You walk away feeling strong and feeling vital and feeling holy and feeling redeemed. Feeling beautiful, feeling good in your own skin. And say that prayer, please God, please help me have this vision become my reality. I know I can count on you. I know you're helping me, and I have to acknowledge to you, I need your help. And you know He's answering you, amen. You did your part. He's going to do way more than your wild imagination of how much He's going to help you. So you begin to feel your body, as you're walking out of this vision. You're better for it. You're stronger for it. You're walking like with such a stamina and drive now, like never before. Your heart is beating calmly, but like courageously. You are going to walk the walk, and you are going to put your all into taking care of yourself with pride, without guilt. You're going to be a great example for your family. And then you begin to smile at the cunning tricks of what's ahead of you, that you're going to now catch the cunning tricks of your Yetzirah, your brain chemicals, and all the trickery around the corner that's going to try to trick you. But you're smiling because you know it. You really know now things that will really help you be more perceptive, and you're going to see through the game and the lies and the fallacies and the trickery. Whoa, you are like your mind is really now going to take charge and see the truth, and you will have less of a battle, and it's going to be organic, because you're going to do this meditation, you're going to do your prayers, you're going to do your learning, and you're going to activate those soul powers to be like that flashlight helping you see the truth behind the temptations, whether it's food, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's anxiety. This soul power of yours is likened to that flashlight that will help you see more clearly, to not fall prey, and that feels redeeming. You are free, freer than just 1 hour ago and 2 hours ago and from yesterday and from the day before. You're ready to open your eyes, and you are so better for this now. What an incredible, beautiful neshama you are, and it's shining. All right, my dear soul sisters. 1 second here. I hope it doesn't disconnect. But we are now going into the Zoom support group. So I will be saying bye for now. See you later. Thank you so much for staying with us here. And I hope you got to the end. And if not, I hope you're going to, piecemeal it. But I hope you really got to the end of this, because that's this meditation. Hopefully you're going to be hopefully using again and again in your own special way to get there faster. Okay, so we will close off of the Facebook, and now we will be joining together here on just Zoom. So join us.